When I started my podcast, I remember the conversation really well with my team of producers. I can't remember the exact question that they asked me, but I just said to them, I do this because I have no choice. I have seen the truth of breathwork and I can't unsee it. If I could unsee it, come on, like crazy. Of course, I would go back to the job that paid me a lot of money, gave me a lot of kudos, and gave me tons of security. Why would I go through all of this pain to run a business? Because I don't just get to teach breath work all day and hang out with fun people who want to change. I have amazing clients, but you'll have the one or two that are challenging and they knock your confidence, and keep finding staff or like, oh, I've graduated, this thing's sorted out, and now I've got a different problem over here. It's like the whack-a-mole of running.
Yeah, welcome to business ownership. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ati Grinspun. I'm a personal branding coach and business strategy, and I help you, coaches and service providers, figure it out what to post, what to do on and off social media so you can consistently get clients and grow your business.
When I think back to then of like how much my confidence was really not. It has taken a long time to build myself back up and to get your offerings right, to get your business right, to know that you want to be in it. How do you pivot? I really want to tell your audience that it is okay to take your time. It is okay to change again and again, that you are not going to nail it out of the gate.
Yeah.
I had a client or somebody who booked in for a breathwork this week who is working so hard at the pivot, has 2 different coaches, has people like me. And it's like, you've got a ton of voices, and really the only voice that matters right now is your own, what you feel comfortable doing. I do have amazing people that help me along the way, and the marketing person that I used recently said to me, how you feel about your offers is the most important thing, because people feel your energy. The most important message that I have for your audience is take your time, because people feel your hot mess, and sometimes that's quite endearing and attractive when it's authentic.
I would love for you to share is actually, I am an early adopter. I work with you while you were through the super messy one-on-one. We used to do breath work every Monday. You used to like help me kick off the week. And I think it speaks to your brilliance. However, sometimes our brilliance needs to be packaged in a way that feels right to us. And I think this is where most people get it wrong, because they're looking at their business model and the money that is coming in, and they're like, well, I can't say no to money. Yeah. And now they're working themselves to the ground in a way that it doesn't matter how much you love what you're doing. If it doesn't feel right, it's not for you. I would love for you to kind of share is what has been that growth. So when you first started, you were doing what everybody's doing, like the one-on-one and the coaching and this, like, what were those offers and what were the signs that you were like, this ain't it? Now, you were doing what you love. You were doing breath work and meditation and all of that. But how did you know this ain't fucking it? And how many times, or what did you pivot and what did you change? All those things. That is what I think that is probably so interesting to my audience right now, because a lot of my people are trying to figure that out, and they're trying to figure their business model, and all they know is what they see from other people.
I think I got a lot of advice that wasn't right for me. And I think the place that I've got to now is I ask people who are a better fit for me what their opinion is, and then I don't care what they say, because I'll go back to how I feel. When I ran my group program twice, it sold out twice.
That was around the first Be Brand Live.
Yes, this is probably right after the mastermind that we were in, or during the mastermind.
Yeah, you were so in demand at that point in your career. Like, I remember I looked up to you and I was like, she's doing amazing. You had a lot of, I don't want to say followers, because that's not what I saw, but you had truly people that loved you and were following what you were doing, not necessarily social media followers.
That's hilarious, because it didn't feel like that. But if you want to go,
isn't it crazy?
If you want to go one step further back, so I left my job August 2019, and in 2020 I started teaching yoga, and I really gained a following from that. So I was teaching in the cancer community. It was very niche down. My dad died of cancer. So this was like a very thing that I was doing when I was deep in grief. 2 of the people who took my yoga class are in my membership, are still active clients and have followed me the whole way through my messy growth. I ran my business at the beginning like I would manage an artist, like my old job. I was a music agent and then I was in music management. So I worked with DJs, some that you'd know, some that you wouldn't. And then when I moved to the States, I worked with rappers, female pop stars. For right now, it's nice to do something for myself. Doing breathwork with people is my purpose, but running a business is a pain in the ass. And I just think all the time, like, how much money do I need to make for someone else to run my business for me? And for me,
that's so freaking interesting. Okay, I'm getting to the super nitty gritty of what I want to hear here. By the way, if you never tuned into her podcast, we're going to put everything on the show notes. You need to go to listen to her story.
Go to the beginning, episode 1 and episode 2, the nitty gritty of like how the offers change. Well, they haven't really changed, but how I sell and how I feel about them has changed. I knocked coaching on the head. It's not for me.
Did you have to lean in your trust? What were the decisions that you felt they were right in front of you that you had to make to discover what were the right things for you to offer?
So the biggest thing that I've changed recently is I don't have a niche and I don't plan to have a niche. And that is mind blowing. For me, having a niche doesn't work, like talking to one person. And I didn't understand that for such a long time. And it was such a point of frustration because what my offers weren't the problem, my messaging was the problem. And I didn't feel comfortable selling or doing all of these sort of loops. But at the same time, if you don't have a strategy to sell your products, it's also going to fall flat.
I'm going to stop you right there because I want to say this. Literally that, you know how much of the inner work and the spiritual work and the mindset work that I do. I mean, you've done a lot of that. You've been my support through a lot of that. And I think one of the biggest things that is happening right now in the world is people are like, I want to be all in the feminine and I want to, yeah, well, all that. Yes. And there is a moment you need to take action. And there is a moment you need to look at how am I getting people into my offers? How am I getting awareness about what I do?
Yeah. It's still a business.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can have a spiritual business, but the systems that you work in aren't necessarily spiritual. They're not going to share your values.
What is very interesting to me, so you started offering something, then you went away. What happened there? Like, why did you go away? Didn't you feel aligned? What was happening?
I didn't like the coaching industry. I knew at that point that I couldn't compete with the people out there, like my peers, my contemporaries, and just, you know, other people further along.
You couldn't because you didn't want to, because that's not what you're aligned with. But now you know that now.
There were just certain things that I was never going to do. I was never going to hire a sales team. I was never going to do, I'm not opposed to ads, but I was never going to do like a big launchy, like rollout. And the reality is with all of this, I don't have to do the group program. I could keep taking corporate money and keep doing my corporate business, keep working on my one-on-ones.
Can we talk about this growth, not in the context of business, because you work with all types of people, not just business owners. But I think that in this context, these women are the ones that need to hear this.
100%. If you're a natural born leader, you're an A-type personality, you should step out of working for someone else and try to work for yourself once in your life, because it is so fulfilling on the good days and it makes it worth all of the bad days. And you get to be good at several different things that you never thought you would be good at. And I do look back on, you know, the skill set I have now. If music industry Daisy had that, she would have been I was already a success. I've got to not knock it because it didn't end the way I wanted or expected it to end. Doesn't mean that it was like a failure or anything like that. That's things I'm saying. I sat and had a drink or coffee with a friend at the weekend who was a boss and a mentor to me, and she was just like, your career was incredible. The legacy that you've left, the artists that you worked with, incredible. And it felt really good to have somebody older and more successful say that. So when I think about the skill set that I have now, patience, trust, an ability to figure things out for myself, to handle my taxes without it being a stress, just all this day-to-day stuff. When I was in corporate, I had a ton of people do this stuff for me because it was more profitable for the company for me to be chatting at the sales, for me to be pushing at artists. When I think back to who I was then, and if I gave her the skill set I have now, oh my God, she would be running the industry.
I'm going to speak obviously from my own experience, but I think that there is a level of awareness, a level of communication, a level of awareness of how we feel that it becomes absolutely necessary if you actually want to survive as a business owner, right? So I have a client right at this very moment, like she is kind of like at the beginning of her journey. And when I look at her, I see so much of me 5-6 years ago. She is in a constant state of overwhelm. She has a lot of negative self-talk. All these things that I feel they're so common when you do not have a business. People think that is life. Yeah, this is just how life is. But then you start a business, and in order for you to actually keep going, you're not going to keep going if you're miserable every single day. You actually have to figure out what is truly holding you back, which is cliche, but that is what's holding you back, is what actually you thought it was fucking normal before you ever had a business.
It doesn't really help a big company for you to have a strong sense of self. I know that there's all these leadership things that you hear about. And of course, like big corporate companies do have leadership. They have your line managers, your whatevers, but you are your product when you
are your product.
When you work for yourself. And it is a ton of growth because what would I do? I couldn't pay my bills if I just stopped. Like there are days where I'm like, oh, like this week I was like, I've got to have a couple of easier days. I've just had so much going on. But then I'll sit there and be like, well, there are just a couple of things I've got to knock out the park today, because that's how I'm going to pay my bills this month, next month after. That would have never happened in my old life. I never would have grown past that. I would have resentfully stayed and done the work because I was scared. I think that's probably my biggest thing, is I don't have fear anymore.
Ooh, can we go there?
Yeah, that's probably my biggest growth thing. Like I cannot run a business from a place of fear, but everything about my old life was fear. Healthy kinds of fear, I think people would say, but I honestly don't even have healthy fear anymore.
Okay. I think this is the crux of the conversation. Okay. I really believe this is the crux. Like we broke it. Which is most women are still operating from fear, even though they're a business owner. Can you talk more about actually how breath work? Like I'm going to go there because I think that like you're selling yourself short if you don't talk about the work that you have done through your own medicine, because breathwork has been one of the biggest catalysts for me to get out of fear and to move and to, once you identify, this is the awareness I was talking about earlier, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so I am spiraling, I'm overwhelmed. Your brain is telling you have to go, 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 go. Because you only have, 2 hours, 3 hours to run your business if you're a mom. However, the magic is in taking a moment to breathe.
And look, it has to be a long-term thing. Everything that I do in the membership is to make people do these daily tools, to make it fun for them to come in every day and do the work, because your nervous system is not and this is another marketing thing, by the way. People talk about how they are breathwork experts based on nervous system, but it's a fucking sales tactic a lot of the time. I'm telling you, you need to work on your nervous system every single
fucking day.
Multiple times a day if you're someone that's really dysregulated. And as someone who has had PTSD, when the LA fires happened earlier on this year, I was already noticing that my system was dysregulated before that happened. We'd had Christmas, I'd been eating candy, sleep schedule was all over the place. I also had a couple of weeks off clients, and I got into a bad habit of not doing my own work because if I'm doing 5 privates in a day, I'll breathe with them. Like we're breathing together.
Yeah.
I just wasn't doing a personal practice in the same way. So when those LA fires hit the first week back to work, I was out of practice and already a little dysregulated. It took me a long time to bounce back after the fires.
Yeah.
And that just showed me I am never going to have this healed system. I'm always going to have a system that goes, oh, watch out, Daisy, something's coming.
Okay, but can we actually come back to understanding that that is actually default? I think that there is this fallacy about us getting to some sort of
And that's what I want to say.
destination.
But that's what I want to say. You read everyone's marketing, and this is kind of my bugbear about all of this stuff, about coaches, about other breathwork people. I'm a nervous system expert, and you do this once and it's going to heal your money worries. It's like, no, you've got real deepy, shitty problems that you're going to need to work on all the time. And every now and again, even if you've done the work, you're going to be triggered again.
Yes.
You're going to be triggered again. And you know what happens? The more you do the work, the deeper the trigger.
Ooh.
The more you, yeah. And it means that the reward is better, but like the work, it's like the onion. It just keeps, maybe what I did wrong at the beginning of all of this, 3 years ago, is I thought that tomorrow I would be better and I would be old Daisy again, and I could churn stuff out and I could sell anything. And old Daisy is never coming back. But new Daisy is a total badass who can deliver things and be authentic and have a transformation and give you a transformation. So what
without being fucking perfect? Like you do not need to be fucking perfect.
No, with being complete chaos, and I can still get you that.
Okay, so actually I love that you're talking about this, because I think it's the same for me, right? Like we have high months, low months, like amazing launches. Some launches fail. Like some weeks we make 5 figures, and like some weeks we're like, ooh. And that doesn't mean anything. I can still teach my clients how to build a fucking profitable personal brand that knocks it off the park. And let's actually go back to the daily practice, right?
Yeah.
I have a very strong daily practice from a person that used to have panic attacks and like wake up in the middle of the night and thinking if I could be able to pay my bills with my business, and like, what would I tell my husband if I didn't bring money this month or whatever, to being in a complete place of trust and not making shit mean anything. So for example, I was just having a conversation with somebody today. I don't care anymore how many people are in my launch. I know that the right people are going to be there. I don't care anymore. I'm constantly, because everything is working out for me. Everything that I'm doing is like compounding on top of each other. Every time I show up in social media, every time I talk to you, every time I talk in person, every time I speak my truth, everything is working out for me. But this goes back to what you've shared about the fear.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of fear. I stopped looking at my bank account thinking, oh my God, there is a lot of money in there. But what if next month is not such a big month? That is fear, as opposed to like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome. Can we actually get a little bit into the nitty gritty of breath work? Because I think that people talk about nervous system dysregulation, and I can tell you what it feels for me, but I don't think that most of the people don't even know they're dysregulated. That's number one. They just think, oh, it's life. That's number one. So how do they know they're on the fucking verge, they're regulated, even if they feel like they're doing all the things and they're meditating, right? So walk me through a few different scenarios.
Do you check your phone all the time? Do you check your phone more than you should? That is a dysregulated nervous system. That's high cortisol. Do you wake up at 3 a.m? Do you fall asleep easily, but then wake up in the night, be up for an hour? Do you binge Netflix? That's another sign of, I'm actually going to post it today. There's like a really amazing 2-hour podcast, and it's performance led. And it's kind of, on the whole, I don't love people that sell breath work as a marginal gains, like hack your system, super masculine version of breathwork. I don't love that. But I'm actually going to post this one today because I think it's a really interesting chat. But the real simple layman's terms of breath work is none of us breathe properly because our life is so stressful these days. Modern life is stressful.
Modern life is very stressful.
Yeah, we have way too many engagements. We have way too much going on. We are more connected than ever. So breath work is then none of us breathe properly. But if you stop breathing, you stop living. Yet we don't take care of our breath. We don't learn to do it properly. You would never get into a car and be like, you know what, I'm just going to wing this until I've figured out how to use the brake. I'll just hope that everybody else can handle it for me. There is a process in our body. There is an intelligence. And when you allow the body to work like it's meant to, you breathe deep most of the time. You bring yourself back to deep breath when you remember. A lot of amazing processes come about. Intuition, trust, energy, clarity, all these things that basically I hear people saying they want all the time. But how do I do that? How do I do that? And it's like, well, if you just learn to breathe to start with, if you just connected to your body, life would be a lot easier because you learn to relax. I say this as somebody who did not sleep for 12 years of their life. Partly because I was on tour a lot and I was traveling a lot. But those last 4 years, I was just mad stressed all the time. And I would be up early for the office, up late for the office, just constantly on the move and stressed. Like I just had so many things on. And to give you guys context, when I was a younger person in the music industry, I would do 2,500 shows a year. So you do the math on how many shows I was doing a week. That in itself is a lot of work. But when you compare it to the fact that you then also had to be a performing member of the team, like you had to be in meetings, you had to be on teams with other people, you had to show up, you had to go to shows. That is a ton of work.
I'm already tired just from like, what?
I was so dysregulated. I did have yoga. I've always had yoga, which does teach you how to breathe. But breath work, it's cheap. Why doesn't everyone do this? It is cheap. And it's honestly how you're meant to run your car. This is like the difference between, you know, putting diesel in your car versus like petrol, like the nice
Ooh, I love that analogy, like breathing shallow, which it was funny because you said it and it reminded myself of breathing deep because I do a lot of breath work, but I think that I actually forget to breathe throughout the day.
Yeah. And look, here is the thing that's probably different for what I do to like my particular style of breath work is it's not just a performance, you know, marginal gains, performance edge, like hack your nervous system. What I do does connect you to your subconscious, to something else. And it feels like magic. It feels like there are like angels flying in and delivering messages to you.
No shit. Yeah, it does. So for the people like listening, it does. Okay.
But this is honestly how life is meant to feel. I'm not there like smudging and saging you and like throwing you through like Satan's star or something like I'm just breathing with you for 10 minutes and I don't do the breath hold. I don't do all of these gimmicks that you see. It is just pure holding your energy, holding your breath. And in that moment, because you are so stressed, and even my least stressed out people, you are stressed. You are stressed. You are stressed about what's happening in the world. I have 6 different email accounts on my phone. I have 2 phones. And I would say that I'm someone who is pretty chill and pretty organized. That's a ton of stress right there because it's like alerts and things to manage and things to stay on top of. And I don't even have kids. I always am impressed with people that have kids because that's you're running the life of a little person.
Oh my God. My kid, I actually was having a conversation with a friend this morning and I was like, my kid has 4 practices a week plus a game. And then he wants to get into art school. So now we're starting to work on his portfolio with a new teacher. Oh my God, I'm managing literally a little life, like his schedule.
Yeah.
And then he wants to have a social life. He's like, can I bring friends home? Can I go to a friend's house? Can I go here? Can I go there? My brain starts to be like, oh, he's not home. Where is he? Like, what's happening, right?
Yeah, think about stress as volume as well. Like that's a lot of volume that, 1950s Ati wouldn't have had to deal with.
Yeah.
You're going to go to art school? Okay, let me send that letter. Let me go type it up on my typewriter.
Yeah. And then a month later.
Yes. Like it just didn't work that fast. Our bodies need us more than ever to tap in to their natural way of feeling connected, feeling calm, being calm. And when you do, and it really only does take 10 minutes of breath work, you suddenly hit the subconscious and it does feel like an angel is giving you clarity, but it's actually just you. That's the thing that I get so madly passionate about. You have the answers. You know what to do. Then the issue I find, the biggest issue that I have with breath work is people have this amazing session with me. They get the clarity. They feel confident about the thing they always should have done, that they always knew they should have done, but then they don't do it.
Ooh, yes.
This is just not a one and done process. Like
But I think that there's where trust comes in.
Yeah.
We don't grow to trust ourselves.
But if you don't have a regulated nervous system, it's incredibly difficult to trust yourself. I know I've just said everybody talking about regulated nervous system is marketing, but it is true. Like you have to be, the thing that got me leaving the music industry, other than dad being terribly ill, was how ill I was in my body. I couldn't trust how I felt anymore. And I remember it so clearly happening. I remember calling my doctor and just being like, I no longer feel like me. The things I could do yesterday, I cannot do today.
That's crazy.
Like as I talk to you about it, I can feel myself holding my breath. My body was in fight or flight, or in my case, fight or freeze.
For somebody that probably is running a business, and I'm talking a woman, right? She has kids. Like I hear some people tell me like, oh, but like you have time. People tell me all the time. I actually hear this quite often, but you have time. I'm like, I created that time. I created the habits. At the beginning was super hard, like so fucking hard. So where do they start?
Well, look, I make it really, really easy. And anyone that's trying to make it hard for you, tell them to do one. Like go take a long walk. It's easy. That's unfair. It's not easy. It's doable. Treat it like having a shower. My husband loves a long
Ooh, I love that concept, by the way.
Yeah. And I'm like, quickly in and out, like put my shower cap on. I don't want to be in there very long. I want to do all the basics and then I want to be out. And that's how I treat my breath work as well, to be honest. And I have levels for it as well. You have to commit every day. And if you're doing 30 minutes a day, props to you. That's like doing 30 minutes of weights every day, 30 minutes of treadmill every day. Your body's going to look amazing, but it's unrealistic for my life. So I do 2 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes. And I just put what I can get in.
I even have one that is 3 minutes that I think sometimes I'll do in between calls.
This is a long time ago. So this is maybe 15 years ago. Like big myself up, like do a breathing exercise before I got on big sales calls. So I was trying to lock down like a big tour or a big artist that I was trying to bring onto my roster. There's no way I would go onto that call without like... I'm the best. They're going to sign with me. Like,
this speaks to something a lot of women that are new in business, they see as weird, or they're like, these people are crazy. But then when they start doing it, they're like, oh, this is amazing. I feel great, right? Which is all these different rituals and practices and things to actually get our body to feel great about doing what we're doing.
Yeah, the somatics of it all. Look, if you've spent your whole life being told one thing and then someone tells you the opposite is true, it's going to take a moment for you to believe it. Anything in our conversation today has resonated with you and you're curious about it, you should just try it, because what have you got to lose?
Right? Well, and I think, and I'm always thinking of the person that needs it the most, right? Which is the most stressed person in the room or whatever, which is you won't know. And this was me maybe 5-7 years ago. You won't know how good this can feel until you start doing these things.
When I started my podcast, I remember the conversation really well with my team of producers, and I can't remember the exact question that they asked me, but I just said to them, I do this because I have no choice. I have seen the truth of breath work and I can't unsee it. If I could unsee it, come on, like crazy. Of course, I would go back to the job that paid me a lot of money, gave me a lot of kudos, and gave me tons of security. Why would I go through all of this pain to run a business? Because I don't just get to teach breath work all day and hang out with fun people
Nope.
who want to change. Like, I have amazing clients, but you'll have the one or two that are challenging and they knock your confidence. And then you have to keep finding staff, or like, oh, I've graduated, like this thing's sorted out, and now I've got a different problem over here. It's like the whack-a-mole of running.
Yeah, welcome to business ownership.
Yeah, people need breath work. Young Daisy needs breath work. Young Ati needs breath work.
Oh, Ati every day needs.
Because there's also a ton of ways in which our system is more dysregulated than it ever has been. When I started work, we used to snail mail contracts. We have
now you send it, like literally we send them on an email, and one of the things is like 3 minutes later and you're checking to see if somebody already returned it.
Yeah, I didn't even have a laptop in my first job. Like, we had PCs and just like
But I think there is such a valid point. We talk about this all the time in the academy. You put your stories up, then you move into the next task, and then 5 minutes later you're checking your stories to see how many people saw them.
Oh, well, that's because you want the dopamine hit. I have finally sorted that out for myself, though, and it's because I am so finally happy with what I am saying and my brand pillars. Depends on the volume of business you need to bring in every day.
Well, yeah, but like also once you start speaking your truth, and yes, there is messaging and stuff, I teach that all day long, but once you sorted that out and you can speak to the heart of what people truly want and what they're looking for,
yeah, and
your people will show up.
Brings us back to all of the first points that we started with, which is like the pain points of all this messaging gets you thinking, I'm not running my business properly. I'm not in the right place. I need to pay this person. I need to
do more. I need to be farther away, like farther along. Like also what I hear a lot is like when people are like, oh, I'm not making 10K a month yet.
Yeah.
Who said that that's the magic number?
I often get confused as well when people start something that they're not an expert in and they're like, I'm not having these like I actually had someone say, but that person's making a 30K month, and I'm like, oh, this is you are always going to be losing if that's how you're looking at the world, because also you haven't been doing this long enough. Like, if you're getting a 30K month and your product isn't even that strong, somewhere in this is a lie, and you're going to get caught out.
I know you have a few amazing things going on. You have a free community. You also have a super low price membership, which it's amazing. But the reason why I say, and you have a program coming up. So I kind of want you to give all the options to my people. And you said at the early, I don't know if you were actually recording at the time or no, you send me all these people, but the truth is that I believe so much in what you do, and you're so special, and your shit works. Like, it's just your shit works. So can you tell people how are the different tiers that they can join and they can start actually breathing daily with you?
There are currently, as we speak, I think 117 podcast episodes. There's breath work in there, there's meditations in there. My mission in life is to make breath work and meditation available to everyone. And really, until that happened for me, so the podcast is there and the free community is there, everything else has started to flower and bloom. But I had to always get my mission right, which is slightly frustrating because you don't always get paid for your missions and your purpose in life. If you are really unwilling to jump in right away, go to the podcast, Breathwork for Anxiety. There's a really amazing meditation that's gone up today. There's a ton of resources.
Oh my God. And can we say, like, listening to your voice is like the most soothing, like amazing. You probably get that all the time.
People are very nice about my accent. There is a cadence for sure. And I think that one of the greatest assets from the music industry is I spent a lot of time in the studio. I'm not scared of a microphone. And I've just spent a long time watching artists write songs, that it's been a pleasure to be in have a little setup of my own. I think that's like a big thing and also teaching yoga, you have to use your voice. There was a lot of prep that happened. And sometimes, people will be like, I just want to do a breath work like you. And it's like, yeah, but I spent a long time sitting in studios in the middle of the night, frankly wanting to be at home. But thank goodness that all of that experience happened, because there is a certain training that I've had, and it does come out in the
I love
breathwork.
that.
Thank you for noticing. So there's the podcast, and it's free. Enjoy. Then there's the free community, which is beautiful, and we do a monthly free breathworks 5 days in a row, 7:30 a.m. PST. So free community. I do these energy updates, which people love, and there's a weekly ritual. All of this is free. And then if you're really committed and you really want to go for this, I'll make sure that there's a discount code for the membership. And that has a monthly drop where, like, this month's drop is clarity. So there's a breath.
But I think like your pricing, say the price, because I can't remember, but I remember seeing it was really low.
It's $250 a year, and everyone keeps saying that. And again, I have to honor my mission, which is to make this accessible. It will go up later on in the year because
is
I'm
it
just
$250 a month?
No, a year.
Oh my goodness. Daisy, it's like less than, it's like what, $25 a month?
Yeah.
Not even. There is so many practices. We pay for yoga classes, we pay for memberships, we pay for, I don't know, the people that have these cold plunges, like membership. Okay, I need to get everybody in my community to be on your community. And I know a lot of my people are part of your community, but
yeah, there.
It doesn't get more accessible than that. How can people work one-on-one with you?
Oh, no, that is difficult, because I like to be tricky in some places. I only open it up 3 times a year. And to be honest with you, once we do the group program, I may just not open up my one-on-ones. Once you're a one-on-one client, you stay in the fold, and you get...
I know, I fell off.
You get invites. I will put you back onto like the invite list, which basically I'll send my avails in the week, or like when there's a big eclipse, I'll put certain products on sale, like one-on-one products, and just let people book. I just make it difficult to get to me one-on-one, to be honest, and I'm okay with that.
How are we closing this?
How
there was so much gold in here. What do you think that is the biggest nugget that people need to pay attention to, all the things that we talked about?
Everybody on here is a woman in business who is likely running her own business or about to run her own business. My advice is to take your time and to start a daily practice that is going to get you trusting your intuition. As women, we have an advantage to men. We have better intuition, but we have had decades, centuries of conditioning telling us not to trust our intuition, our clear yeses, because they kind of go against the mold and the grain a lot of the time. Get into a breathwork practice. Thank me later. Thank Ati later. You won't regret it. It will be the best thing you can do, because you breathe all day long. You shouldn't stop breathing ever. So why not spend some time letting it be the best and the strongest it could be? You would never skip dinner or breakfast, if you were hungry. So don't skip on this practice. And I promise you, it's going to connect you to your intuition. And that is going to be the most important tool you have in your business.
I agree, because I think that when they have that, and I am proof of this, then you can apply the strategy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I know that you were saying it's a growth thing, but
I'm going to put all the links.
Thanks.
Everywhere. So go to the show notes, and this is also going to be on YouTube.
And if you do find yourself in the community, reach out to me, DM me. I voice note people in there all the time.
I'm so grateful, because it's been a minute since this was perfect, because we caught up, we talk about business, we help women with their breath work, and we got to see each other.
Yeah, we got to chinwag. I'm into it. I wish we did it more often. You are so wonderful. Thank you for having me.
I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah.